Hey, what's going on, guys? So this week we're out in the garage. We have to clean both of these tanks. Not just normal clean, but we're gonna have to remove all the shrimps from this tank and put them over here and over there and down here. Because we're getting into new shrimps, we're going to get some blue dream and some yellow shrimp just to kind of get a little bit more variety. But because every time I get new shrimp into the system here, we always quarantine, so this is going to be isolated to those two new tanks. This tank over here is super dirty because I kicked up a bunch of debris, siphoned it 50%, refilled it. But this tank right now is going to be only housing snails, so MTS snails. I've been trying to move all the snails from these three tanks across to here. There's a bunch of snails in this tank, so it's just gonna be a snail tank for now. Probably move some of the plecos in here eventually when they get big enough. These guys over here. So they can separate and get some tank. But yeah, super dirty right now. Kicked up a bunch of debris. We'll let that settle in a couple hours and it should look a lot better. Down here, we're going to keep this as the main colony. So I was kind of trying to separate some of the red ones here, but we'll just kind of move this project down to here again. Keep it that way, it's a lot easier, and then we'll just have to cull the ones that we don't want here and we'll just put them up here for now. Alright, so we have maybe like a dozen in here that we need to catch, and probably a little over a dozen in here that we need to catch and move and kind of shimmy around. Alright, so my first tank, I scooped out all the adults. There are maybe a few tiny babies. I tried to scoop as many as I could. I'll still have a couple days here before the new shrimp arrives, so I'll try to check on them. If I see them, I'll scoop them. If not, that's fine because they're still small. When the other shrimp goes through quarantine, they won't be interbreeding anyways, and we'll kind of scoop them out once the quarantine's done and we can kind of get them into another tank. Alright, so moving on to this tank here. We have a little more than a dozen, so a little bit more than this tank over here. So let's get scoping. Alright, so we got everything out of here as well. This one was actually a lot easier. There was actually no babies, or they were all in egg form, so none of them hatched yet. So this was actually a lot easier to remove. This one, I'm still looking for little guys. We'll see here in a couple days if we can try to get a couple more guys. As you can see here, this tank's already starting to clear up. This is only like maybe 30 minutes after I showed you the first clip there. It's starting to clear up a little bit. I did put in a couple little shrimps in here, the Rillies. I only had maybe like 3 or 4, so didn't really want to combine them with the culls, because I didn't want to mix them in there, but I also wanted to see if we can get a line of Rillies, so we'll put Rillies in here, and the 2 new shrimps will go into here. I'll probably get another shot of these tanks once everything settles down, so we'll just, maybe do it later on. So today I'm going to do a 50% water change on both of these tanks here. That way when the shrimp comes in, we don't have to worry about doing water changes during quarantine. They'll kind of just run through the quarantine phase with the shrimp without any real water changes for probably about like 2 weeks or so. And we'll do a nice water change and kind of continue monitoring them for at least 2 or 3 months. Alright, so it's the next day. We got our first batch of shrimp that just came in. I'm gonna go ahead and unbox these guys, see what they look like. I'm gonna toss them into the tank. Alright, so it's still cold, nice and chill actually from the cold pack. They're looking pretty good. There are a few DOAs, and that's to be expected. Actually take that back. They are actually alive. It just looks like they're just kind of trying to figure out where to cling on to here. Ooh, these are beautiful. This is the Blue Dream. One's kind of dead here. It looks like one got eaten. But the rest looks like they're pretty healthy. Oh, we got a couple babies in here as well. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Gotta be careful and make sure we scoop all the babies. And the last one, I wasn't going to get this, but you know, because our cherry shrimp population has already been established, we have another tank that we'll just end up using, but in order to get free shipping, I did order a few more of the cherry just to kind of introduce different variety into their line here. But these guys look really nice. We'll probably put these guys in with the Rillies for now, for quarantine, during quarantine. And once they look good, we'll kind of put them into the bigger population. All right, so let's get these guys in. All right, so they all like ran in the back, but there is the Blue Dream right there. Looking very nice. The yellow, we did have 2 DOAs. You know, out of all these shrimps, only 2 DOAs, you know, that's not bad, to be honest. So I'll probably remove these 2 guys in a little bit here. I just kind of dumped them all in at once just to make sure that they weren't molting or anything like that. As long as they're breathing, I think they'll be fine, but I think these guys are actually dead, so that's okay. I'll take this back. So this guy here actually is alive. I think this one's going to molt. You can see the kind of the gills breathing here. This one's not breathing at all. This one's dead, so we have 1 DOA, not 2 DOAs. So that's a good sign. So sometimes, you know, the shrimp will kind of just lay on the side. If you see it breathing here, it's just most likely molting or getting ready to shed its shell. So it's something really normal for shrimps and a lot of invertebrates. They have to kind of shed their old skin or old shell in order to grow bigger ones. So just don't scoop them out right away. If you see some breathing action in their gills, leave them in there. They'll be fine. Got a bunch more Neos in the back there, just chilling. The yellows are really nice. The blue is really nice. So I'm excited to get these 2 introduced into the fish room. Start getting those. And here are the fire reds. Because you gotta be careful in terms of where you're getting them. So like, for example, like I bought them from here, right? The females are the ones that are a lot brighter, and I received all females. So like, if you're starting a brand new colony, like getting 10 is good, but like normally if people don't mix males and females, you won't really get breeding unless they're already, you know, buried or pregnant, and you can kind of get a new batch going. And it looks like, you know, some of these were already had eggs and whatnot, so like, you know, that's good that they'll come out and they'll lay afterwards or whatever. But gotta be careful there, especially when you see them, you're like, oh, they're all really nice. Normally the nice ones are the females only, so that's one thing. Oh look, got a little baby here already. I didn't even notice. It's like right here. I wonder if that's like from the old cherry shrimp, or that's a yellow one. We'll see when it grows up. If it's a cherry one, we'll mix it in these other ones when they grow up. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm still waiting for the other ones to arrive. They should arrive in the next day or so. We got different sources. We're gonna quarantine all of them. The reason why I get a bunch of different sources is, you know, other people will breed them differently. Other people will have better strains. We're just trying to get a stronger strain, mix them up, cross them up. They're all the same, of course. So all the yellows will go with the yellows, all the blues will go with the blues, and then from there we'll cull out any, you know, the lighter stuff and slowly get a nice colony going. And I expect this colony to take probably 6 months or so to really establish and start breeding. So it's going to be a next year thing in terms of when these guys will probably be available for sale or for culling or something like that. Most likely I'll start with culls and then work my way up to getting and selling solid ones. For example, like here, like when I started with these culls, they were kind of like, you know, dull, whatever, but now the culls are actually like really high end grades already, right? They're almost like a low grade fire on some of these guys back here. So slowly but surely the culls will actually get better, and if the culls are getting better, that means the main colony is actually getting a lot better. So alright guys, and that is the update for the week. We got some new shrimps in. Maybe next week I will show you guys the rest of the shrimp once we kind of get them all in here. If you guys are not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are subscribed. And like always, excellent guys, peace.